Welcome to Life Transformation Radio. This show is all about life transformations and our journey from where we were to why we are doing what we are doing today. We will discuss the hiccups, the roller coasters, and the blood, sweat, and tears that has been poured out while discovering our purpose. It is all about our transformations. Here is your host, Sean Douglas.
Welcome to Life Transformation Radio. I am your host, Master Resilience Implementer, TEDx speaker, performance enhancement expert, and author, Sean Douglas. I want to welcome all of our listeners who are listening from wherever you are. This show is currently heard in over 30 countries, such as the U.S., India, Norway, Canada, France, Australia, and Panama. So I want to thank you to those who are listening from around the world. Life Transformation Radio is all about our transformations. Here is where we tell the stories of why we're doing what we're doing, highlighting those transformational moments that have changed our lives, and how we use these to help transform others and elevate their lives as well. You can listen to us every Wednesday and on the first and third Fridays at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. But I do host special pop-up episodes with incredible guests where book launches, product launches, events, something amazing is happening and we need to cover it. And that's what we're doing today. So welcome to a special pop-up episode of Life Transformation Radio. On the show are impactful and amazing guests that are impacting everyone around them. And my guest today does exactly that. If you have any questions for any of the guests, this is a live show, so you can call in at 657-383-1109. Again, the number is 657-383-1109. And please help me welcome to the show, Virginia Muzquiz. What's happening?
Hey, how are you today, Sean?
I am super pumped. Been looking forward to this moment.
Me too.
And so we met at New Media Summit back in San Diego and back in September, and you absolutely controlled the room. I mean, you were playing full out, meeting everybody, laughing with everybody. Like, it was great. It was amazing to meet you. So, how have you been since then? I think I lost her. Virginia, you still there? Uh-oh. All right. Well, while we get her back, the topic of the show today is going to be leveraging social capital with Virginia Muzquiz. So Virginia is the owner of and chief connection officer at Master Connectors Incorporated, helping six-figure solopreneurs capture the net worth of their networks so they can build a business that not only fuels their passions and funds their dreams, but also has massive impact in the communities where they live and serve. As an executive director with BNI MidAmerica, Virginia is responsible for helping business professionals build their own highly profitable referral organizations. With over 30 years of teaching and business building experience, Virginia knows that leveraging social capital is the most cost-effective way to build a business and design a life. From 2005 to 2011, Virginia grew the contract services division of a local education franchise from, get this, $0 in annual revenue to over $2.5 million completely by word of mouth. Amazing. As the owner of Gateway Referral Institute from 2010 to 2015, Virginia distinguished herself as a top producer and earned her seat on the exclusive executive circle. Today, Virginia lives on the Muzquiz Mini Farm with her husband, Victor, 2 horses, 2 dogs, 3 cats, and a flock of egg-laying hens. She enjoys spending time with her daughters, Nicole and Megan, reading, gardening, knitting, and all things. Virginia shows her clients how to redirect the time and money spent in non-productive networking into leveraged word-of-mouth strategies that produce measurable improvements in their ROI. By implementing, many small business owners and clients have increased their revenue while saving countless hours and developing meaningful partnerships that make networking more profitable and more fun. So, Virginia, you sound like an absolute rock star. Like, holy crap.
Well, can you hear me now, Sean?
I gotcha. Yeah. Yep, I gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah, I got you on the microphone.
I hear my echoing.
Yeah, I got you muted on this side.
Okay, good. Oh, there we go.
Just in case.
Yeah, hi. I'm sorry. I actually can hear myself, so this is weird.
There you go. So yeah, you sound like you sound like a rock star. Like, oh my gosh.
Well, I try really hard.
I mean, you grew the contract services division of a local education franchise from $0 in revenue to over $2.5 million just by word of mouth. That's impressive. Gotcha.
Hello, Sean. You do. Okay, good. So listen, here's the thing. When I started this whole No Child Left Behind adventure, it was really as a response to failing miserably at a goal. I missed a goal, and I was feeling really badly about myself. And I went into the boss of the owner of the franchises, and I was like, dude, I'm sucking wind here. This is not working for me. And I think I was probably crying and sniveling like a baby. And he was like, oh, girlfriend, I hired you because you're like an entrepreneur, and you're somebody that I really thought could make this thing work. So, what entrepreneurs do is when things go wrong, they pick themselves up and they dust themselves off and they come up with a solution. So quit crying, go home, think of 10 solutions and bring me something back here, because this is just we're not going to be able to work if we don't think outside the box. And so right. I live near St. Louis, Missouri, and there was like a $9 million opportunity in just East St. Louis, Illinois alone, which was in the territory where I was working. And so these are kids that never get access to the best of the best and the gold star of anything. And this was an opportunity for us to really take that brand into a group of people that would never be serviced by that. But the real challenge was, I'm a 5'3" upper middle class Ivy League educated white girl. And I kind of stood out in East St. Louis, which is predominantly urban, ethnic,
yep.
Right? And the guy that I work for was a media guy. He had an MBA from Wharton School of Business in media, and he was like buying ads and doing newspaper stuff, and we weren't getting any traction at all. We had still $0. And then I had a background in direct sales, so I was like, hey, you just stand on the street corner and you talk to everybody who's within 3 feet of you, right? That should work. So I'm standing on a street corner in the middle of urban America, handing out flyers. Hey, I'd love to tutor your kids. I'd love to tutor your kids. And it just didn't work, right? But I had this association with an organization called Business Network International, BNI, and I was like, man, what if I took the principles of when I had been a member of a BNI chapter where we're getting people together and we're all helping each other reach our goals by sharing our resources and our networks. What if I did that? Would that work? And so I started figuring out who the players were and where the social capital was. And so I started looking at healthcare agencies and food pantries and church ministries, and there were 4 community centers involved in supporting the community. And I just started going to people and being like, hey, what do you need? Like, what's your biggest challenge? How can I help you? How can I solve you and solve these problems with you? And I started mobilizing my resources to help them get what they wanted. And by the time I had helped enough of those folks get what they wanted over the course of a year, when enrollment came around the next year, we jumped from $140,000 or so in revenue the first year to $486,000. And then as we got our reputation going, it just doubled and doubled and doubled from there. So it was an amazing experience. And to be able to do it only by word of mouth, because that was the only choice. It's not like I woke up and thought like, let's do an experiment in social capital marketing. It was the only choice. That's all there was.
Right.
Like you just do what you have to do because it's all there is. But yeah, it was a huge win. And it was a high. You know, we returned like 40% of that $2.5 million back into the community in the form of salaries and philanthropy, which was amazing.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds absolutely incredible. Wow. So the first question that I have for you is what I ask all the guests right off the bat, and is why? I feel like this has to be the first question that you ask yourself every day when you wake up. Like, what is your why? Why do I keep doing this? Why do I wake up and, go to work or whatever it is that you're doing? So my question to you is, what is your why?
What is my why? Wow. So my why resides in the power of entrepreneurship to change the world. So I grew up with an entrepreneurial dad. My dad had started out in corporate America in information sciences and worked for Univac or Unisys. I don't know which came first, the chicken or the egg. I don't really know which company it was back in the 60s. And he one day, like, there was a merger or something, and they were like, John, we're going to keep you on, friend, but your first order of business is to fire all the guys that you've been working with for the past 5 years. My dad was like, I'm a Navy man, and a captain always goes down with his ship. And they said, all right, John, and they just handed him a box and said, it was great working with you. We'll see ya. And then he was courted by a company, I think out of somewhere in Texas, that was like, hey, come work with us, build this $1 million division. We'll set you up with a really nice house and a subdivision with a swimming pool. Your kids will go to private school. You'll drive a Mercedes. And my dad is what is now would be considered a staunch libertarian. Back in the day, he was a Republican, but his values are more like libertarian values. And he was like, screw that. I'm not going to sell my soul. Like, that's ridiculous, because once they've got you, they've got you, right? And it reminds me of that Tom Cruise, the Firm, the movie The Firm. Which is it's like a novel about the lawyer that they get him by the balls, and he's just kind of like, he's got to get out of the golden handcuffs, right? So my dad just turned his back on that and thought, hey, if they think I'm good enough to hire me to build $1 million business division, I'm just going to go build myself $1 million business. And he moved us out to the country from Long Island. I was born in Long Island, and he moved us to the country out in New Jersey, and he commuted into New York City, and he had a little office. And, we didn't see him very much, but over time, he built this business. I know he almost lost everything. Like, every good entrepreneur has to almost lose everything, right? At some point.
Right. You got to
like
cycle
on
a
the verge of
Right?
Yeah, like on the verge of losing it all, and some guy gave him $5,000 on a spit and a handshake, and that was all the belief my dad needed to build this multi-seven-figure business that supported 20 families in our community. And I think one of the challenges that we have as human beings is that we feel like if we're not changing the whole world, that we're not making an impact. And I really believe that solopreneurs and entrepreneurs make huge differences if they're by doing what they do and by caring, because it's the one thing that we can do that the big box store really can't. Like, it's a crapshoot if you go into a big box store and somebody says hello and actually means it, right? But as an entrepreneur, I can really care about my community, and I can really care about my clients, and I can really care about what's going on, and I can have passion around those things. And so on the philanthropic side, my passion is ending world poverty through entrepreneurship. So
that's cool.
It's just about the power of entrepreneurship and understanding that within us all there is this absolute seed of greatness. And I've been privileged to have people sort of chip away at that marble and reveal it, allow it to reveal itself. And I think we all owe that to each other, because inside us are these amazing seeds of greatness that were given to us intrinsically when we came to this planet, and we're supposed to discover them and share them and make a difference. So I think that, does that answer your question?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Tell me, who were you before you got to that point, right? Who was Virginia growing up, and it kind of give me the backstory. Who were you before you got to this point?
Well, wow, that could take an hour. Okay, so you just shut me up whenever you're ready. God. All right, so listen, I grew up with really loving parents, like super loving parents, functionally alcoholic, and I really grew up. My dad worked a lot, so he was kind of absent, and my mom was, looking back, like, of course, everything that I'm telling you, I'm looking back in hindsight, right? Because I knew none of this growing up. I was just in the stew that I was in. And my mom was, like, really clinically depressed. So I lived in this sort of this world where feeling seen and known and loved wasn't an option, right?
Wow.
And so, one of my big, I've done all quote unquote the work, right? So one of like my earliest memories is playing Barbies on the kitchen floor, and my mom is like bookkeeping in a corner, and I'm like, "Mommy, play Barbies with me," and she's like, "No," like, I'm busy, and I just felt so sad that she wouldn't play with me, like I wasn't good enough for her to play with me, and that just totally sucked. It just totally sucked. So that was really a big challenge that I had growing up, was really not feeling seen and not feeling heard and not feeling loved and not feeling wanted. And so I just armored up, I just really armored up and decided that I just wasn't good enough for love or connection or anything of the sort, right? So I ended up in that really kind of scary space that, which just made me very defensive and made me really rely. I'm really smart, which, that's tooting my own horn, but I really relied on that to get me through and to make me popular and to keep me wanted, and what I think probably the most telling moment of my life was when someone said to me, you think your intelligence is like this really good thing, and I got to tell you, it is your nemesis because you use it to keep us away. So, hey, hold on a second, Sean, okay? I've got an issue, so ask me another question.
well, tell us what your transformational moment was. Tell us what your transformational moment was that changed your life, that set you on the path to what you're doing right now.
So, I did the whole Sylvan Learning. I was in Mary Kay for a while, and that was pretty transformative. And I had a spiritual awakening. I had a spiritual awakening there, and really started to kind of understand that we are more than just, we're more than bodies, and we're more than, we've got more going on than just what meets the eye and what we do here, that we have bigger purpose. And then I did the Sylvan Learning Center thing, and that was just work. And I was mothering. I was raising 2 children, and I had postpartum depression, suffered with a lot of that kind of stuff. So that was kind of unpleasant and crazy too. But after I started my coaching company, the Referral Institute, I actually was privileged to run into, I don't know if you know these individuals, but Justin Livingston and Callan Rush.
Mm-mm.
I don't know if you know who they are. Okay, well, they owned a company called Lucrative Luminary Training, and so I met Callan at an eWomen network meeting where she was doing one of those, get up, here, positioning thing, blah, 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 get up, go to the back of the room, buy my program, right? And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I do have that problem. Like, I'm really smart and I really know my stuff, and nobody will pay me any money to coach with me. I just don't understand. Why am I not good enough, right? So I had all that going on. And I'm like, okay, well, if she's going to charge $397, I'm going to buy it. And then she kept talking. I was like, okay, well, if it's $597, I'll buy it. And then I was like, okay, if it's $997, I'll buy it. And she was like, and you get this DVD set, and you get to come to this live event in Vancouver for $29.97. And I was like, $3,000? Kill me now. Like, I don't have any money. I opened this new company. I had made no money. And I was like, my husband and my Mary Kay thing was really bad. Like, I ran up a bunch of credit cards and was still digging myself out of that debt. And it was crazy, right? So I'm like, how am I going to spend this $3,000? Screw it. So I wrote the check, and I went to the back of the table, and I handed her the check, and I said, you cannot cash this until you help me earn it. And she took one look at me, and she said, I will give you 3 Skype sessions. And if you can't earn it in 3 Skype sessions, I'll tear up the check, and we have no business with each other. And I was like, oh, you know, then I got my Virginia. I was like, oh, you on, bitch. Oh, you on, right? So she did. I remember talking with her. Like, I was in a Starbucks, and you know, we did these 3 Skype calls, and I did exactly what she said, exactly. And I, you know, whatever I just did it, and I earned like I sold $5,000, and I was like, holy crap. I sold $5,000. Wow. So she cashed the check. I went to Vancouver, and I did her first program. And, you know, of course, I shouldn't say of course. So there's this whole sort of what I call the woo-woo guru crowd, and I mean it with all the love and respect in my heart, right? What they swoosh and they whoosh and they smoosh, and they're like all hugging and everything, but I'm all armored up, remember, right? Like, I'm professional. Yep. I do not smoosh. I do not whoosh. I do not hug strange people. I certainly don't clap and dance around a room. Woo-woo.
That's the fun stuff.
I'm sitting there. Right, well, yeah, right? But again, I'm still armored at this moment. So I'm completely armored up. And I'm with my friend Laura on one side and my other friend Angie on the other side. And there is this woman across the ballroom, because there's probably 500 people in this ballroom, right? So across the ballroom, there's this woman, and she has her arms all crossed, and she has this snarly, snarky look on her face, and she's sort of like grumbling. And every time Callan says like blah 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 blah, this woman's like blah, 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 right? So there's this dynamic going on, and I look over at this woman, and I go, I say to my friend Laura, "What the hell's wrong with her?" She goes, "I don't know. What's wrong with you?"
Oh, ouch!
And I was like, "What? What?" And she and then my friend Angie goes, "Honey, if you spot it, you got it. You're the only one who noticed her."
Oh.
And then I was like, "Whoosh, smoosh, hug, sing." I was like, I want to look like ew, right? Like, yeah, I'm not doing that. That's gross,
my
right?
gosh.
So
that's funny.
So that was sort of the first step. And then, of course, they made another offer. So what did I do? I got up. I went back to the back of the room. I wrote a check for $8,000, and I was like, "Do not cash this until I earn it," right? So I guess she probably did another couple of Skype sessions with me, which is really really was a huge gift, right? Because most transformational light workers are not in the business of giving you free coaching so you can afford to take their coaching, right? So there had to be something really. Yeah, there had to be something really, really, something going on, something blessed, something really cosmic in that moment going on in her and in me, which we've talked about a little bit since. But I went to her next program, and that was 5 days up on a mountain in Vancouver. No phone, no satellite, no cell service, no nothing. It was unplugged for 5 days, and it was a workshop on a presentation workshop. And it was pretty emotionally grueling. And on it was maybe the third day, we had to get up and do these presentations, and we did the presentations, and then we had to be critiqued. And so it came to my turn to be critiqued, and I had to stand in front of everyone, and then they just had to kind of give you feedback. And so the feedback that I was getting was not generous. It was very I don't really like you. I'm not digging you. I'm not into you. I'm not feeling you, whatever. And that was painful in and of itself, but that was my whole life experience. So I was like, okay, so this feels totally familiar. I'm unworthy. I'm not worth being noticed. Nobody likes me, whatever. I'm used to this, right? So Justin comes up and he goes, can I put my hand, like, can I touch you? Is that okay? And I go, yeah, whatever. So he, like, I don't know what he did really, but he, like, adjusted my body, like the way that I was standing, and everyone in the circle gasped. They all went, oh. And then I lost my shit. I started bawling, and I was like, it hurts, I can't stand like this. And he kept making me stand, like, in this position, and I just kept screaming. I was like, literally, all he did, I think, was, like, make me lift up my heart and tuck in my chin. Like, it wasn't a big deal. It wasn't like he was, like, you know, tying me up in shibari and hanging me from a ceiling or anything. It wasn't painful, like, physically painful. It was just awful, right? And I just lost it, and I was, oh my God, I mean, panicked, and so they removed me from the circle, and they sat me in an Adirondack chair where I sobbed for 8 hours, and they all just took turns. The whole crew that was managing the event, they're like, okay, it's your turn to go get dinner. I'll sit with her. And I was like, I can't do it. I just, right. It was just, I was insane. It was like,
oh my gosh, it was like a breakdown.
Yeah, it was like, all I can think of is that's what it must be like to come through a birth canal into this world, right? And, you know, because the first thing the baby does is, you know, they're quiet, and then all of a sudden they're like, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, you gotta feel safe here. This isn't good, right? Like, this isn't good. Put me back, right? So I recently had the privilege, like, of helping my daughter birth my grandson. So like, that's why this image is really coming to me, right? So then, to make matters worse, I decide I'm going to buck up. So I, like, finally suck it all up, and I, like, eat some mashed potatoes or something, and I'm going to go to the evening session, and I'm just going to hold my head high, and I'm going to go do it, right? Dude, I came down with this, it's an atypical migraine. Now, I had been a migraine sufferer on and off most of my life, but this thing presented like a stroke. I couldn't move the left side of my body. I couldn't think. My head felt like somebody was, like, putting a railroad tie through my eye, and I couldn't move. I remember 5 women trying to get my body, my lifeless body, up a flight of stairs. And they laid me in this bed, and there was nothing to do, right? And then this, like, right, I'm with the woo-woo guru crowd, right? One lady's doing, like, some sort of shamanic thing, and somebody else is, like, anointing my feet, and somebody else is doing something else, and then somebody else is, like, blah, 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 outside the room, and, like, there's all this healing work going on and all this stuff, and then finally I just fall asleep.
Wow.
And I wake up in the morning, and my roommate, I'm going to give her a shout-out, Patricia Ann Starr was her name. She's from Florida. Patricia Ann Starr, because we were in silence until 10 a.m. She writes on a piece of paper, what the hell was that all about?
It's the greatest story ever.
It's great. So I grab a piece of paper, and I start writing the most hateful things that a person could possibly say, right?
Wow.
I write on the top of the paper, because I am loathsome, hateful, insufficient, unworthy, useless, pointless, undignified, victimized, silenced. I still have the list. I keep the list, right? And she grabs the list from me, looks at me, shakes her head no, takes another piece of paper and writes the antonym for every one of those words on a piece of paper and says, you are, and then hands me the paper back.
Wow.
And we started having this no, yes fight in silence. I'm like, no, shaking my head no. And she's like, oh, yeah. And I'm like, And she's like, yeah, but we're not talking, right? Because our heads are bobbing up and down.
Oh, my God.
And then that...
Why can't you talk?
Well, because we were in silence. We were in this sort of lodge, and if you talked, everybody could hear everything you say. So it was out of respect for people that, I don't know, wanted to meditate or sleep or, like, wake up and not have us chatterboxes keeping them up all night. So So we did breakfast, and then we went down, and they did this trance dance ritual, which I won't go into unless you want me to tell you all about that because it could take an hour. But we did this ritual, and you dance blindfolded. And I literally thought, like, oh, this is going to be great. I'm going to have another one of these flip-out trips, right? But I didn't. I experienced unfettered joy, like bliss.
Wow.
And it was like tribal dancing kind of a thing, and it was a journey. Yeah. They narrated a journey and whatever. And I was like, I swear, I had never experienced that ever in my life. And when it was all said, like when that whole experience was all said and done, I had my voice. And I had never known up until then, I was 43 maybe, 44 years old. I had never fully known my voice like that, like this, the person who can tell that story and feel really awesome about it. You know?
Wow.
It was like my life is literally divided into before Callan and Justin and after Callan and Justin. Before this Mesmerize Your Audience program and after it. And because of them, I do have to say, because I'm a good implementer and because I found my voice and because that was just a shedding, right? It was just like shedding all the armor and you know, feeling so vulnerable and so exposed and so terrified that vulnerable and exposed, I would be so unloved that it would just be I would die, really. Coming back from that experience, I quadrupled my revenue, and every year since, I've been able to make money with just no issues ever. So
that's the greatest
that's the story
that I have heard. Oh my God. Like, I'm just picturing, like, because, I mean, I just had a kid. You know what I mean? So my daughter's 3 months old. So, I mean, this is pretty still kind of fresh.
My grandson was born. Yeah, well, my grandson was born like a couple days before your daughter.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So, I remember thinking that.
Is it a Mary Kay conference? Is that what it was? Was it sponsored by or what?
Oh, the transformation thing? No, I left Mary Kay. No, I did Mary Kay. And that's kind of where I that was a coming to Christ kind of thing, right? It was just
one of your coaches?
Finding true religion. Yeah, it was with Callan and Justin. Okay. So
yeah,
so
got it. Okay, I was just making sure. I wasn't sure if they. Yeah, I wasn't sure if they were like with the Mary Kay or this was like a post kind of like transition out, and you know what I mean. Callan and Justin worked with T. Harv Eker. So it was one of those sorts of transformational kind of gigs that was, it was like, hey, I'm going to teach you how to market your speaking business. But, you and I know you can't market your speaking business if nobody likes you. So you have to fundamentally become, you really have to uncover who you are, and you have to turn yourself inside out and let people see it. Yep, absolutely.
So,
I agree.
So that's the answer to that question.
Perfect. So speaking of those two, would you say that those are your biggest influencers, or did you have others?
Well, I've had influencers, like mentors and influencers all along the journey. In Mary Kay, Carly Eisenhart and Pat Fortenberry, both wonderful, beautiful, gorgeous national sales directors, highly influential for me, really took me under their wing and cared for me and showed me the ropes. Worked for Sylvan Learning Center. Brian Jones, the guy who owned the franchises, he and I are still friends. In fact, I just saw him last Friday. We see each other quarterly and have lunch and catch up. And he was just an absolute, everything I know about business, I learned from him. So I consider him to be a massive influencer. Certainly Callan and Justin, I consider to be major influencers in my life. My BNI business partners, Scott and Teresa Simon, it isn't always pretty, but they, even in hammering out conflict, we're always being influenced, even working through things, right? I was watching a Hulu show the other day, and there's somebody complaining about some adversity, and this guy turns around and he goes, "You should be grateful for that." It makes you stronger.
Ooh.
Right? Like, be grateful for the challenges. Like, face them and
Awesome.
grow up and get some skills, right? So absolutely two of the biggest influencers. But I'll tell you what, it's for me, my husband, Victor, is absolutely one of the most influential people in my life. We've been together for 32 years, married for 30 of them, just celebrated our 30th wedding anniversary. And we're best friends and our greatest teachers. Wow. Then my kids, my two girls, give me opportunities, growth opportunities all along the way. And Kingston, my little grandbaby, is another one, man. I mean, he's just a little miracle. He's just something else, you know. So it's really, I think, you know, the people that we let in are the people that take us on those journeys, you know. And again, God, I've met so many. You know, Emerald Green Forest is one. Michael Patrick Burke is another one. Christopher Robinson.
She was just on my show.
Sophia Wise one. You know, oh my God, she's hilarious, right? Like all of these people just touch your life and just make you. You know, if you're open to it, they can transform you just by dancing with you on a stage for 10 minutes at the New Media Summit, right? Doug Sandler and Strickland Bonham. I mean, yes, I'm gonna be an icon, baby.
Are you really?
Yeah, that was the bet that I had with Steve Olsher. My podcast launches on Monday, so.
Yes. So let's talk about your podcast. So I'm going to be an icon coming back again for the event. I will be one of the icons at the New Media Summit in San Diego, and so you're going to be there. So talk about your podcast. Talk about what's happening Monday.
Well, I'll tell you what. It's called the Passion, Purpose, Impact Podcast. And cover art's almost done. It says passion plus purpose equals impact, and that is the formula for true entrepreneurial success, right?
Boom.
Yeah, and so we're talking to people that have a passion, people that protect and guard and fuel their passions, people who are on purpose. I saw a live stream from Brendan Burchard, and he was like, oh, if you want to know if you should do something or not, ask yourself this question: did I plan it? If the answer is no, don't do it. like talking about being on purpose, right? Like, oh, hi, hi, no, I didn't plan you. You can come back and like go get on my calendar, right? No, but I need it now. Well, I'm so sorry, I didn't plan for you.
Everybody with shiny object syndrome everywhere.
right. So, so you know, people who have a purpose. Say that again.
I have ADOS, which is attention deficit squirrel.
Yes. Squirrel. Oh, when that movie came out and that dog is like, my master gave me this collar so that I can squirrel. My daughter goes, that's you, mommy. Between that and Dory, because when my kid, like, you know, Dory from Finding Nemo. Oh, so yeah. whenever they would make me mad, I would speak whale. I'd go like, I said, go to your room.
Oh my God. You know, when Over the Head came out and they saw Hammy the squirrel, literally, like, everybody that was around me was like, oh, my God, and, like, pointed at me. And I was a basic training drill instructor from 09 to 13, and that was my nickname, was Hammy. They were like, oh, my God. People still call me, they still call me Hammy. They're like, oh, my God, like, that is so you. I was like, whatever, guys.
That's
like, you're just
hilarious.
Great. And then as I watched it more and more, I was like, crap. Yeah, it kind of is.
Yep, there you go, right? Oh, it's super funny. So, you know, we were talking about Influencers Podcast. Okay, so that's what the show is about. Episode 0 airs on Monday, and I've already kind of shared episode 0. It's like, where'd you come from and why are you here and what's this podcast about, right? My first few interviews, I interviewed Emerald, Peaceful Green Forest, and that woman is a trip. She's really amazing. We had such a good chat, and she's just brilliant. Mish Hancock with 100th Monkey Media. They're a social media management company that got one of her clients onto Oprah's Favorite Things, onto the TV show using social media. So she's really, really, she's a really great connector. She works with the TEDx organization here in the St. Louis area, and she's got her own podcast as well called Mishmash. So she's awesome. And then got a couple other really cool folks. I've got Michael Patrick Burke, who is in his mid-40s living with cystic fibrosis, and he wrote a book called Waiting to Die, Running to Live. So he's going to be on the podcast talking about, motivation and engagement, how to engage in your own life. And let's see. Melissa Seaman, who is a shamanic intuitive, Stanford trained attorney, turned shamanic intuitive. She had an energy shift during birth that she went kind of from all left brain to this left right brain thing. And then probably one of the super interesting ones is Chris Robinson, who is part of the John Maxwell organization. Yeah. And he, in 7 years, has risen to the #1 trainer of John Maxwell coaches in the John Maxwell organization in 7 years. And he shares how he did that. And it's really interesting. You know how he did it? He served and prepared, he cared and served and prepared. He did what entrepreneurs do. Yeah. Just did what entrepreneurs do, and so his story is really great. So I'm excited because we've got some really cool people. Oh, Jenny Bellinger that you might have met at the New Media Summit. Yeah, love Jenny Bellinger. She'll be on my show. The badass, was it badass? What did she call it? It was direct sales. Something. Yeah. Oh, God, she's going to kill me. But she works with direct sales consultants to help them actually treat their hobby it's not to treat their business like a hobby, but to really treat it like a business. So she's on there too. So some really cool people. And of course, you got to get in the lineup there, right? So. Oh, absolutely. Because you got passion and you got purpose and you're making an impact. So you're cordially invited to hop on whenever the timing's right.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So curious, how does one leverage social capital? I mean, what is social capital?
Okay. Wow. Great question. Social capital is relationships, people. Okay. That you're in the interconnectedness between people. So between you and I, there's a connection, and there's energy inside that connection, right? But the energy actually expands. Picture this. So if we were like little atoms or something, right, and we have energy exchanging between us, right? What happens when we add a third atom, right? You and I now have 3 times the energy when we connect, because I connect to the third person and you connect to the third person. Before, we just had 1 strand of energy between us. When we add the third person, we have ours plus 2 more bits between us. And when you can leverage that energy to build a business, to end global poverty, to save kittens, whatever really is meaningful for you, right? Because it's all planted on your heart, what you came here to do. And so that's what social capital is. But what I find is that in the networking scene, interestingly enough, which is where I kind of, came from before I had my big epiphany and whatever, and I'm still in that space. It's just, I just approach it a little differently. Everybody's out there like, hey, take my business card. Hey, take my business card. Hey, want to buy my stuff? Hey, I got some stuff. You want to buy my stuff? Who do you know wants to buy my stuff? I need somebody to buy my stuff, right? And the secret is to not sell your stuff. It's to just help other people solve problems. So when you become the place where people go to get their problem solved, sooner or later, somehow money just falls on your head. And I wish I could explain to people like why money falls on my head, but it's just Chris Robinson is another one. Like, he doesn't focus on the money, he focuses on people and relationships and being prepared and honing his craft and being the best damn speaker he can be and having the best darn curriculum he can. And, he focuses on the stuff that matters, and he lets the money kind of take care of itself. And it's not that he doesn't have money objectives, but it's not, once he's set the objective, then he knows what the activities and the vision are to do that. And you just do that through people. And so what I find with people, Sean, is that you take a look at like your LinkedIn. Do you know how many LinkedIn connections you have?
I do, yeah.
Okay, so what do you have? Probably several thousand or something. How many LinkedIn connections do you have?
I'm almost at 1,000.
Okay, great. So of those 1,000 people, every one of them has some potential to be a client, bring you a client, interact with you in some way, right? Because I'm using LinkedIn because that's where the professionals grow, right? Like that's where pros
LinkedIn.
Go to be
I'm all over LinkedIn,
right?
My LinkedIn connections, we talk. Like I don't have like I know people on LinkedIn have like 14,000 connections. So I'm like, there's no way you can talk to every single freaking one of those. You know what I mean? But the difference between somebody with 14,000 connections and my connections is I know every single one of them. It's the same thing with people who, he likes on my page and he likes on my page and he likes on my page. No, you don't. Because the perception is you look at somebody's Facebook page like, oh, really? Like 300 likes? Like, garbage. Oh, my God, they have 100,000 likes. That's amazing. I know
they must be so popular.
Yeah, I know those 1,000 people, though. That's the difference. Do you know all 5,000 people? You know what I mean? Anyway, I have 959
I'm a lot like that, right? Well, and check this out, right? When someone says, hey, I want to connect with you on LinkedIn, I always accept it. I always accept the LinkedIn proposal.
Always.
And I say, listen, if you're connecting with me because I got something you want. But you can't have what I got unless we get to know each other. So how would you like to do that? Would you like to meet in person? Should we have a phone call? Do you want to do a virtual coffee? And I'm telling you, 8 out of 10 people will not even respond to that. And so that's number one. Like if you're going to reach out and touch somebody, you better like get in the game with them. Don't just like, oh yeah, accept. But the bigger thing is if you took those, let me just take those 1,000 people, right? And some of them, and I always judge people by their behavior, not by what I think they could do for me, but what they're actually doing. Like what's their behavior? So some people are in your life to just like be a support for you, be a pillar for you, be somebody that'll help you out in a time of need, right? Some people are there to inform you, let's look at the New Media Summit, right? Now I have a friendship relationship and a mentorship relationship with Steve Olsher, but for a lot of people, Steve Olsher was just a guy who provided an opportunity for people to learn stuff. Yeah. Right? Just an information guy. For some people, that's the relationship. For some of us, he's a support person, right? For some of us, he's both. For some people, he's a referral partner, right? For all of you icons, he's a referral partner. Man, he just put you in front of every one of you in front of a bunch of potential guests and clients, right? So everybody has a function, all right? And where I think the big challenge lies is in, one, knowing what someone's function is, what they're volunteering for, who they're volunteering to be in your world. Are they there to be a support? Are they there to bring you information? Or are they there to help you grow your business? Are they business connections? And within the people that have the potential to be business connections, people they move in and out by their actions. So people that first are in the nebula, right? Like you, I didn't know you. So you are a potential referral source. You're potentially somebody who can help me grow my business, but I didn't know you before now. So you're just out in the nebula. Then we go to this New Media Summit and, two worlds collide and we meet each other. We're like, hey, guys, love your energy. Let's do something. So we become acquaintances. Okay. Yeah. And then I say, hey, Sean, you said, I totally want you on the show. And then I got bogged down with some stuff and like a baby being born and you had a baby being born. And, I kind of let sleeping dogs lie. And then I was like, dude, you know what? My podcast is coming out. Can you help me out? And you were like, yeah, sure. So now you're like an advocate for me and I'm an advocate for you. We're going to talk about each other. Right? Yeah. Now, when we get back together at the New Media Summit, we may choose to become ambassadors. We may choose to actively engage in promoting one another and getting one another in front of the right people in our network, right? Or we might even in some way affiliate referrals for referrals, money for referrals, referrals for money. Who knows? We might find a way to make money together, to actually make monetize and measure money, which is not that many people get to that level with people. I mean, there's a lot of factors. So when it all comes down to this whole how do you leverage social capital, the first step is knowing who people are, which of the three buckets do they fall into? If they're in your bucket, your business bucket, what kind of a relationship is that? And can you groom people in and out? Like, can you develop that relationship and bring them down through the process? And it's kind of, the people that go into that funnel, fewer come out the bottom as monetizers with you, co-monetizers. Okay. And then you got to know how to track all that activity to know if it's even paying you a dime. And then you have these really weird relationships like the one I have with Chris Robinson, we do nothing more than go like, hey, how you doing? Hey, I'm great. And then we talk about each other for 5 minutes, and then the two of us make money. But we don't actually refer people to anybody. It's just whatever the synchronicity is between us are, hey, how you doing phone calls, create energy that lead to opportunity. So leveraging social capital is about putting in the time, Sean, and giving a darn about other people and their problems and wanting to connect and asking the pertinent questions, which is what you do, right? Like, where'd you come from, and how come you're like this and not like that?
Right. Yep. I love it.
So
I feel like, as a speaker, like I've been to events, that sell. So like everybody's in the mindset, like, who am I going to be? How am I going to make money? What am I going to do? Like, I just want to talk to people. Like, let me get to know you. Like, I probably get a good 10 to 20 business cards at each event, and I might contact one or two people because we talked first, and then we got to go back into the session. Oh my God! Oh, here's my card. Sorry. Like, I've done this so many times where like I don't even give out a business card unless someone asks for it. Like, I honestly don't. Like, I don't. You got a business card? I'm like, yeah, man, here you go. But for the most part, like, I'm just like, dude, your Facebook. Like, let's connect on LinkedIn. Like, let me get your, like, I go way past the business card. If you ask me for a business card, I'm like, well, all right then. Because I usually get so bogged down with things after an event that I just don't reach out to somebody until like 2, 3, or 4 weeks after an event and go, hey, we met here, remember? Like, which is super bad marketing, from everything I've read. You have to email them right away. I'm like,
okay, so I have a kind of a different philosophy on all of that, if you're open to the thought.
Yeah.
I'll share it. So listen, first of all, handing out your business card if somebody doesn't ask for it is dumb, because you just weren't that interesting. If I didn't ask you for your business card, I don't want it. Like, you just didn't impress me.
Yeah, that's why I don't even hand them out.
And I don't mean
unless someone asks.
I don't mean that in a cruel way or whatever, but I am saying, hey, if you're going to show up on the scene, you better have a shtick and you better be memorable, right? And look, you saw me do it at the New Media Summit. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
I love Steampunk, right? Do you think I dress like that every single day? No. Right? But I knew if I showed up in that stuff and I put my hat on my head and I had my little goggles and I walked, I knew that I would stand out and people would see me. All right? And it would immediately polarize the room. There'd be a whole bunch of people that would be like, oh my God, she's so cool. Look at her. She's like so standout, right? And there'd be these other people like, oh my God, like, right? It's like Jimmy Fallon, right? It would be very polarizing. It would be, and so, you gotta go out there and decide who you are and who you want to attract and who you want to surround yourself with, and then be that and be it really loud, and then be really interesting. And the way to be really interesting is to shut the hell up and ask questions. Like, stop talking about yourself until somebody begs you to tell them your story. And if you can't get somebody to beg you to tell them your story, one of two things. They don't care, and they're kind of wrapped up in their own shtick, which means they're not going to be really great social capital for you. They're not valuable social capital, right?
Exactly.
And number two, your story your story just ain't that good, and you need to work on your story. So when people are asking you your story and you're talking, or your interviewing skills aren't that good, you're not that good, and you've got to work on how you approach and connect with people so that you can help them. Interestingly enough, I'll tell you what, it was the weirdest thing. When I was at the New Media Summit, there were a number of people that I really knew I wasn't for them, right? So I literally wrote out lists in the booklet of people that I knew that I thought they'd be really good on their show, right? So I was like, hey, Bruce, I know this person and that person, this person, they'd be perfect for each other. Like, but you're supposed to pitch you. I go, yeah, you don't want me on your show, right? Like, I can pitch you and you'll be like, no. I go, so no offense, I don't think your listeners would be as interested in me as they would be in these people.
Right.
And some of the folks were sort of taken aback, and they were like, oh, well, okay, fine, I won't interview you then. And I was like, well, don't be angry. I just got you like Dr. Ivan Meisner on your show, Like, give me a break. Like, I'm giving you like big names here. And so, but some people really took me up on it. And so, again, it's all about, I was at the New Media, I don't even know why I was at the New Media Summit, maybe to meet you. I don't know. I was just like, Steve had a thing, and I was like, oh, Steve's doing a thing. And I paid top-notch dollar to go because Steve was doing a thing. And I was just going to go be with Steve because he's my guy, right? And then it turned out to be transformational in nature. So, but social capital is like really, really key. So the next thing with all those business cards, now this is the other part. You're a busy guy, yes? You got a lot going on. And everybody wants a piece of you, right? Can I pick your brain?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Everybody wants a piece of you.
Unless there's money involved, then I'm not shit, I guess.
Yeah. Well, if they want to pick my brain, if they want to pick your brain, they can pay you $497 for that. But you need to put an invoice for that, right? So Doug Sandler turned me on to this scheduling system called Acuity. Do you know about it? Acuity.com.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yep. All right. So what I would do would be like, hey, totally, like, give it to a VA, right? And have them put these people into your autoresponder and tag them wherever you met them, right? Send them out some sort of an email through your CRM that says, hey, first name, so great meeting you at place, right? Blah, 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 blah. Sorry we didn't get a chance to really connect. I'd love to learn more about you. Click here, tell me about yourself. Right? Awesome. Some people will tell you about this. I would be like, holy, okay, I'll tell you. Here, let me tell you all about me. And then you go, all right, this person wants to engage with me, so I'll engage back. Now we're doing something, right? But the vast majority of people will be like, form? I have to fill out a form? Oh my God, that's so much work.
I have to do work. Why? I have to do work.
But you know what, Sean, what that tells you is that they don't want to increase their social capital with you. They want to get something from you, and that decreases your social capital. If I want to generate social capital between us, I'm willing to do the work. I'm willing to engage when you give me the opportunity. And there could be some real gems in there for you, in just those people that are willing to engage.
You tell a lot by what people are willing to do. My mentor always tells me, he's like, dude, successful people make it happen no matter what. Like, make it happen no matter what. So successful people make it happen no matter what. Unsuccessful people make excuses. And that's it. That's all you ever need to know. All right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, Jenny Bellinger's like, look, you can make excuses or you can make money. Pick one.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Because you can't do both at the same time.
Exactly.
So.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's,
I love it.
So that's, there's the story of me, I suppose, Sean.
Yeah. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. So this is the moment in the show, as we come to a close, that we do a shameless plug. You can plug a friend, quote, website, Facebook, products, whatever you want. This is your time to shine. Shameless plug moment. Go.
Shameless plug moment. Look, I got a free gift for all of your listeners. They can go to www.masterconnectors.com/follow-up and download my 8-page faithful follow-up guide that will give you some really good strategies for putting a plan in place to following up with people to start to build social capital. It's kind of the jumping off point. And just keep in mind, if you download it and you don't do anything with it, you just killed a tree for no good reason. So, it's a great tool. So it's at masterconnectors.com/follow-up. Would also love if everyone would go to iTunes and download my Biz Wiz episode with Doug Sandler. It aired yesterday, and it's Virginia Muzquiz leveraging social capital for success or something like that. And download that because I'm in this badass contest with Jenny Bellinger, and apparently like her episode got a whole bunch of downloads, and I'm like, oh honey, no, you cannot beat me at that, right? So we're always she's my bestie, so we're always in like being stupid like that. And then on Monday, hey, go to iTunes, look up Passion, Purpose, Impact, download my my podcast episodes, have a listen, comment. And if you want to get a hold of me, it's Virginia@masterconnectors.com. If you'd like to connect with me, I'd love to connect with you. But really, connect with me because you want to build your social capital, not because you want me to buy something or you want something for free. Because I really feel like it's really about if you're going to connect with me, Virginia@masterconnectors.com, tell me why. What do we have in common? Where do we connect? What's that thread of energy that you see between us? And let's start a conversation.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I actually get yelled at sometimes. It's pretty funny. I get yelled at because everybody whenever they connect with me on Facebook, whenever they connect with me on LinkedIn, I always, hey, I'm happy to connect with you. How can I be of value and service to you and support you in what you're doing? And somebody emails me and says, yeah, well, I'm looking for a couple investors. And, I forgot what it was. And then, of course, people are like, well, do you do Bitcoin and whatever? I'm like, I'm not afraid to say no. I'm like, no, I'm sorry. I don't do certain investments or I don't do this. Or somebody was like, well, can you buy my book? Like, literally, can you buy my book? I'm like, well, how much is your book? $15. I'm like, yeah, I'll buy your book. I was like, can you buy 100 copies? I'm like, no. It's like, why not? Like,
can I buy
100
copies of a stranger's book that I don't know what it's about? That's funny.
Yeah. I was like, why would I buy 100 copies? He's like, so that you can hand them out to people. I'm like, why would I hand them out to people? Am I getting paid for that? He's like, well, you said you'd support me. I'm like, I'll support you by buying your book. And then if I think it's good enough, then I'll put it on social media. But I'm not just going to randomly buy 100 copies. All the time, you'd be surprised at what you get to an answer to that question, Well, you said you'd support me. I mean, you said you'd be of value to me. I'm like, well, yeah, but I'm not going to do your job. Like, you're the entrepreneur, bro. Like, let's cultivate a relationship. Or they're like, hey, I see that you're an expert in this. I have a program that will level up your business. And that I was like, did you not understand where I said I was an expert? Like, I have coaches that are helping me. I mean, I don't need another coaching program. Like, I don't need another online course to become an expert in something I'm already an expert in. Like, I don't know. I get confused sometimes. And I just tell them, like, respectfully, and I'm really respectful, and then they get mad at me. I'm like, oh, well, whatever. But I meet a lot of great people and build relationships.
People, one of the things that's really key, it's really super key, is to really understand that when you ask before you've added value, but when you ask before you've established relationship, when you make an ask of somebody, you got to know that there's something in there. Like, Sean, you said, we talked and we established some sort of like rapport thing. And you said, I want you on the show. So I just waited until I was like, dude, this is what's going on. Do you still have room for me? It wasn't even an assumption that you were going to put me on your show because we met so briefly. Right. But I didn't say, when can I be on your show? I said, hey, Sean, if you look back and I was like, did you, you said, did you still want that? Do you still think that's a good idea? Right? It was really about you. And if you had said, nah, I don't think so, Virginia, I would have been fine with that. Like, it wouldn't have hurt my feelings at all. But it's all in the approach that you take with people. And it's got to be about them first. It's got to be about what you can offer them, what you can give them, and how can I help you? Right?
Love it.
And it's kind of what I really love about this podcasting community too, because it's really easy to add value. It's like, hey, I'll put you on my show and then I'll share you with my people. Like, I'll put you in front of my people. It puts you in an immediate advocate position. It speeds that up because we do all have an asset that each other really wants, which is the audience and the connection with folks that are interested in our message.
Yep, absolutely. So as we close the show, we always close it with a call to action. So what would your call to action be for our listeners?
Go to www.masterconnectors.com/follow-up and take action on that strategy so that you can increase your social capital. You can fuel your passion, fund your dreams, and have a massive impact in the community where you live and where you serve.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much for coming on the show, being an amazing guest, dropping value, and we laughed and had fun, and you rock. So I just want to say thank you for your time. And
oh my gosh,
and
it was
for
great.
That again. Awesome. We have to do it again sometime. And definitely.
We'll do it on Passion, Purpose, Impact.
Yeah.
Perfect. My turn to get in your head.
Right. Right. And we'll definitely see each other in April at New Media Summit. So.
Oh, yeah. I'm really excited about that.
Perfect. So once again, Virginia, you are amazing. And, I just really appreciate you coming on the show.
Thanks so much for having me, Sean.
Yeah.
Be blessed.
You too. So, Life Transformation Radio listeners, another amazing episode with amazing guests that are absolutely crushing it in life, but taking the time to show you the way. You have to connect. With Virginia Muzquiz. Go to facebook.com/Master Connectors. You can go to LinkedIn. She's on LinkedIn. And absolutely connect with her and get that free gift. You have to, she is absolutely amazing and crushing it. And you have to connect. So as we close the show, I always say, live your brand. Find opportunities every day to live out the values that you hold deep in your heart. And I call that living your brand. And until next episode, have a great night.